In Cuba, I lived simply, and my main daily concern was what I would eat. How will I afford transportation, visit my town, or pay rent? Well, since I came to Spain, everything changed radically. And honestly, every day I see people here in Spain who complain a lot about the situation. However, they don't appreciate the luxuries they have in this country, especially right now. I'm experiencing this and never thought I'd live this way. That's why I want to share it in this video. Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. I'm speaking quietly because I'm at the airport since I'm traveling today. My first trip of 2024, I'm super excited, already traveling in January. But guys, this is my job, so I have to work and make videos. Well, I'm going to a destination where it's warm, so I'm excited. If you're watching, comment or chat during the premiere. Where do you think I'm going? Well, in case you're new here and you don't know me or who I am, I'm Anita Mateo, I'm Cuban, and I've been living in Galicia, Spain for over a year. And so I share with you here my experiences, my life, what I'm learning, and my thoughts. I simply invite you to subscribe if you like it, give it a like, and all those little things so that, well, this family keeps growing. And well, in today's little video, I want to talk to you about, of course, when a new year begins. At least I look back, I look at what I did last year to kind of compare myself with my present self and the things I've achieved. Because sometimes we complain about life so much that we don't stop for a moment to think about all the good things that have happened to us and everything we've accomplished. In 2024, I paused and reflected. I got my residency in Spain in December, which was the best Christmas and year-end gift I've ever received. I've already shared it on the channel. Watch the previous videos where I explained my process, my truth, coming to Spain, getting residency, and living without papers. A year and all that mess, that's it. I started looking back at that and realized that honestly, we have to be very grateful because last year I lived. Last year was one of the best years of my life, honestly. And I hope that this year will also continue to be a good year. Now I can accomplish much more since I have my residency in Spain. A piece of paper doesn't define us as people. A piece of paper doesn't tell us what we're worth or not worth as human beings. However, unfortunately in the world, a piece of paper does give you more or fewer opportunities in your life. Of course, living in Cuba, I had no opportunity to see the world with my Cuban passport. I had to leave Cuba and try to get residency here in Spain. And that piece of paper has definitely opened many more doors for me in this world. I mean, a piece of paper gives you more or fewer opportunities to get ahead. With a Cuban passport, there's very little you can do, and we Cubans are wonderful people. However, that piece of paper allows us absolutely nothing to go to very few countries, not to have quality of life. Besides, living in Cuba, you will never have money to travel, to leave your country, to do the things you want to do in your life. Having residency in Spain gives you more opportunities. I can already visit every country in Europe and beyond. Leaving Europe and all that is a luxury, and that's exactly what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to be talking to you about some luxuries I currently have in my life, thanks to being in Spain, but they're not material luxuries. It's not a purse, you know? It's not that kind of thing. They're life luxuries, things in life that you might not normally appreciate, but that you should value. Because it's not the same in every country. Since I'm traveling to Gran Canaria, I'll make this vlog my way, discussing my topic with you in this video and showing you things. At the same time, my days while I'm spending a weekend in Gran Canaria, and well, that's it. Let's talk about that. Some luxuries I have thanks to living in Spain, and they're not material luxuries. Okay, let's go. Well, I've arrived. I'm in Gran Canaria, and look at me, look at my clothes. I don't know if you can see well, but I'm wearing summer clothes. It's over 20 degrees here. Amazing how one country can have such different temperatures. In Galicia, it was 5 degrees at night, but here in Canaria, it's 20. I feel like I don't know, in the Caribbean. I'm a bit overwhelmed because now we're going to take a bus. They also call it guagua here in the Canary Islands. Like we Cubans do to La Palma, which is the capital. Because I'm in Vecindario, and actually Vecindario is an area where there are a lot of Cubans. Last night, after arriving yesterday evening and walking around, I heard Cubans everywhere, even at our table. Then we ate the typical Cuban pizza that we Cubans love. And well, here obviously, since there are so many Cubans, there are a lot of businesses that recreate our cuisine, obviously, because that's what sells. So we went to eat Cuban pizza, and it was like that. It was full of Cubans, and of course, the people who work there are also Cuban. So I really like coming here because you feel more at home. And I want to send a little kiss to my followers from the Canary Islands because I know I have a lot of people from the Canary Islands who follow me, and I want to tell you that your islands are beautiful.
Here I feel very much at home thanks to the Canarian people for being so welcoming to us Cubans.
I'm a bit hot. The bus is coming soon, so let's go to the bus stop since we're heading to La Palma, the capital. There was a lot of sun, and suddenly we arrived here in the capital, which is Palma, and it got cloudy. It feels like a curse. Everywhere I go, it gets cloudy. Someone once said that was like the Galician curse. I'm Cuban, not Galician, but since you live in Galicia, does that curse affect you too? And every time I go somewhere that's supposed to be sunny, well, look, it's cloudy, and well, let's discuss one of the first luxuries I enjoy because I now live in Spain. And that's freedom of speech. Many of you probably already know this, but in Cuba, we don't have freedom of speech. We can't share our opinions about our leaders or discuss problems publicly, you know? What if we do it subtly at home with your family? They always say to keep quiet and not say certain things or you'll get in trouble. You can lose your job or career for having different opinions. And well, it seems to me that in Spain that doesn't happen. Here I do see that people have freedom of expression. In fact, here they can even vote for whoever they want.
And talk badly about the one who is currently governing. If they don't like them, they can give their opinion, express their views, or not just talk about those kinds of things like the government, but also about services themselves. You can give your opinion if you don't like a service and say it.
Over there in Cuba, we have the habit of always staying quiet because things are the way they are and they're not going to change and can't be changed. So I think that's a luxury we Cubans have here, that it even surprises us sometimes to see people protesting about things. And I say, like, why are they protesting about that? And it's just that they're simply free to protest because they feel like it, because it's their right. It surprised me at first, but it's definitely a luxury. For example, one of my stories is that they charged me for electricity a few months ago. I was with a company that charged me a lot for electricity, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, like, to go and complain about it because I wasn't used to doing that kind of thing, but of course, in the end, I had to do it. For the first time, I faced that and complained. The issue was resolved since they made the mistake. That's a freedom I had never experienced before, and I wanted to share it with you. Let's keep exploring Gran Canaria, which I love. It turned cloudy, but it's still warm. And well, since we're in Gran Canaria, a little bit of historical context doesn't hurt either. Right behind me is a house, not Christopher Columbus's, but it played a role during his first, second, and fourth trips to the Americas. Well, Columbus stayed in this house, and that's why it bears his name. It's like a museum or something like that. It preserves the memory of his time in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria before leaving for the Americas, so people know the full history. Let's take a good look at the house, and well, that's it. A cool fact, if you visit Gran Canaria, you need to come here. I won't go into the museum, but just so you know. And the street is called Colón Street. In my province in Cuba, there's also a town called Colón. I think that name is everywhere. And well, here I sat down on the floor. Now, to talk to you about another luxury that I think people have, at least Cubans. I'm speaking for myself and for several Cubans with the same experiences. I'm very happy because many people write to say they relate to me and my situation. With this about residency, well, the reality is that I was struggling and fighting with the paperwork.
For quite a while, actually, for a long time.
It was pretty quick, but I feel really proud that so many people write to me and feel that my videos help them. And well, that's it. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that one of the other luxuries I think we have living here in Spain is a bit more financial stability. As you know, salaries in Cuba are still insufficient, even though they increased again this year. Service prices in Cuba, such as transportation, have risen further, but salaries remain unchanged. And since the Cuban currency is going down, it's like you can't afford anything, literally, nothing at all, guys, not even to pay rent. Can you afford it? Now, rent is a luxury. Most people live in their parents' houses for years because it's not very difficult. So one of the luxuries that I now consider you have when you're in a country like Spain or any other country that gives you that possibility is having a bit more financial stability. For example, with a salary in Spain, it's true that in Spain you don't make a ton of money or anything like that. But if you have a job that pays you an average salary, a basic salary, can you afford to pay rent?
Maybe not rent in the center of the most expensive city in Spain, but rent in a place that's not so expensive.
For example, I'm talking about a small town where I live. You can afford to pay the rent, the electricity, and you're not struggling all month.
Just like in Cuba, we're like strangled. We don't know what we're gonna do, what we're gonna come up with to keep paying for things, the food that's never enough for anything.
Honestly, I've found significant financial stability in Spain. I can pay my rent, both me and my partner, who has a regular, very ordinary job and earns a normal salary.
And well, I also earn a normal salary. It's not like I make anything out of this world.
We can pay rent, electricity, and many other things and services. That's another point.
Here you pay for everything. That's the reality. Here you pay for everything. Nothing is free, and even so, it's enough for you.
Yes, for example, if you're a couple and both of you work, you can achieve that financial stability, or a family, or even a single person as well. I see it as a luxury because it removes a lot of stress and worries I once had. In Cuba, I worried about what I'd eat each day, but in Spain, thankfully, I no longer have that concern. I'm at ease because I can buy food.
There are little things that maybe we don't appreciate when we're in countries where you don't have to worry about that, but when you're someone from Cuba or another country going through a similar situation and you come here, you realize those worries don't exist here, and you feel sorry for your family since they have to deal with them back there.
Well, the little I've seen of Gran Canaria so far, I'm loving it.
Now we're moving to another area, and I find it really funny because even the bus driver here is Cuban. There are Cubans everywhere, which is wonderful.
Another privilege I have to mention since I've been here in Spain has to do with the public healthcare system.
Look, I know there are several problems with appointments here in Spain, at least with public healthcare.
It's true that sometimes you want to get care and the appointments are scheduled for a long time from now. People have told me that since I haven't used public healthcare myself, I've only used private healthcare. It's much faster because, well, I had insurance and I did get care, and it's much faster, but I know. Based on others' experiences, public health care can take longer, but you still get care. But yes, isn't it also true that in Cuba for a long time when we didn't have internet, we didn't have access to the outside and couldn't know how things were? They always said there was no free health care elsewhere like in Cuba, although it's not truly free since taxes pay for it. And in Cuba, they also take money from your salary, which obviously they have to use for those things. But in the end, if you're here, if you pay taxes, you go and get treated, and it's free because people are paying for it with their taxes. They always said, if you go to another country, they won't care for you. And I don't know if that happens in any country, but at least here in Spain, it doesn't happen. Here they do take care of you, and it's not like they're going to leave you there and not help you, so that's kind of a luxury. Also, having all the medications, all the technologies, all the things that in Cuba are still very old. Obviously, there aren't any new devices, there aren't any. There's no modern technology or medications right now, you know that. I send medicine to my family in Cuba because of this. There's no access to medications, pharmacies are empty. Still, we must be grateful. And it's a luxury to be able to have access to medical services and medications.
Here at the pharmacy, I can buy any medication I want.
Some with prescriptions, some without.
And well, that's something we really have to appreciate because in some countries, healthcare is more expensive, insurance is more expensive. Here in Spain, insurance isn't that expensive.
I'm paying about 40 euros now, which I think is reasonable. I don't think that's expensive, but if you have a serious illness, it can be.
There are insurances that cost more, but it's not like it's super expensive or anything like that.
Another thing we have, which is a luxury, is that many of us are tempted to buy compulsively. At least I haven't gotten over wanting to buy every piece of clothing I see, because there are just so many beautiful clothes.
And right now we're in the middle of sales, and look at how many stores there are. They put 10,500 stores, one next to the other, with a bunch of sales.
And I have the temptation to buy something all the time, but I say you have to stop. It's a luxury to have access to clothes and dress how you want. In Spain, I discovered my style, the way I like to dress, because in Cuba, I didn't really have a defined style.
I wore clothes I inherited or was given, not what I would have chosen, even though much of it was nice.
So, here in Spain, I've taken this year to find my style and all that. And just look at how many stores there are, how much variety, and there's something for every budget, because there are these stores. But there's also Vinter and other places that sell you secondhand clothes, cheaper markets, and you can find really, really cute clothes. The freedom you have to move around and travel. People often ask me, Anita, how I travel and do everything. Right now, for example, I'm traveling well thanks to my job that allows me to do it, and thanks to my wallet too because traveling is cheap. Guys, it's true that there are expensive and cheap ones. I always try to catch the cheap flights, for example. For example, I'm here with a friend who is already a resident of the Canary Islands, even if you are too. We were booking flights to Galicia so I can take her there. She should see it since she's only been to the Canary Islands and Madrid. I was looking and it's very cheap for Canary Islands residents. I mean, she's gonna go to Galicia for 15 euros and come back for 19 because the return was a little more expensive, but how cheap is that? If you're not a Canary Islands resident, it's a bit pricier, but it's still not as expensive as I used to think plane tickets were in Cuba. I found cheap flights, and I've told you this before. You travel without spending a lot, right?
Because you have access. Transportation here is excellent, unlike in Cuba, which I don't even know.
Many people leave Cuba for better financial opportunities abroad and later return. They discover places they couldn't visit before. When they lived there, their budget didn't allow it. Let me know below if traveling in your country is expensive or cheap, since I don't know. I understand that maybe in some countries it's much more expensive, but here in Spain I don't think it's expensive at all.
Traveling in Cuba, is it expensive? I'm not sure about the United States, Brazil, or Argentina either. Let me know below if traveling in your country is costly.
Or is it also affordable for regular citizens with their regular salary? There's life here at all hours, there are people around all the time. Sometimes I wonder if everyone works since there are always regular people just walking around. People probably wonder what job lets you travel so much. I sometimes wonder that about others too. Another thing I consider a luxury is the food here in Spain, which is excellent. The ingredients are always fresh and of very high quality. Spanish cuisine is known for its sophistication and intense flavors. From the paella, the free tapas they give you in many places, and each region adds its unique touch to the rich culinary heritage.
I love the food in Spain, and I consider it to be one of the best in the world.
I visited Las Dunas de Maspalomas, and many people commented on my photos when I posted them on social media. They told me it was forbidden to walk in this place, but I did some research and actually it's not completely forbidden. Marked trails help protect the natural environment and reduce impact. Remember, Gran Canaria has some dunes. I used to tell my little friend, take me to the desert, and it's not a desert, but it looks like a desert. Look, these are dunes called the Maspalomas Dunes, and you can find them here in the south of Gran Canaria Island. If you're in Spain or visiting and want to see something similar, you know where to find it, Gran Canaria. It's amazing how one island can have so many different landscapes. The Canary Islands are really diverse. Despite being a small island, you find diverse landscapes in both Tenerife and here. Here, which is where I went, I haven't been to the other Canary Islands, but I hope to go soon. Look, I have sand all over here, guys. And, well, another luxury that I think we have living here in Spain, I mean people from Spain. Something I've noticed is that Spain is a pretty safe country, and honestly, I always heard that Spain was quite safe compared to other countries. My experience so far has been completely true. At least where I live, I feel totally safe. I feel calm walking down the streets. I don't feel afraid to walk at night and haven't had any bad experiences. Actually, I want to share something with you. It's an anecdote about something that happened, not to me, but to someone close to me who was at a bar. And she left her phone. And we left, obviously, and after a while she realized that she had left her phone. And so, obviously, if this kind of situation happens to you in Cuba, the second you leave your phone and walk away, someone already took it, turned it off, and more. You never found your phone, but it was actually here. I was in shock because we left the phone, and then I called that phone with my own, and they picked it up and gave it back to us. We went to get it. But I was like, sir, this would never have happened in Cuba. My friend had her phone stolen in a second when she let her guard down. Thefts happen there, often out of necessity, but here in Spain, I'm not sure. I always talk to them about my experience, remember? But having my phone returned to me was like, I was in shock. It's incredible, honestly. I also feel very safe on the streets, on public transportation. They've always told me, for example, when I go to Barcelona, be careful because there's a lot of theft here and things like that. I've visited Barcelona twice and never had a bad experience. Some may have had bad experiences, but I always talk to you. From my experience, Galicia feels very safe and calm. I really like it, and that's a luxury. Feeling safe in the place where you live, because there are many people who don't feel safe at all where they live. You constantly live in fear, unsure of what will happen. You really have to appreciate feeling safe wherever you are. I think I'll end the video here. I love the dunes here. Just looking at them is so relaxing. I don't know.
I loved visiting Gran Canaria, even though I only had one day to explore. I know there are still many places I haven't seen. I hope to return soon and explore more.
And well, that's it. I invite you to subscribe down below if you're new here. Subscribe, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, well, give it a dislike. I don't care. New videos every Friday. Bye. Leave a comment. What do you think or feel? Your opinions, whether they're good, bad, whatever, and what other video would you like to see here on the channel?
What topic do you want me to talk about? What place do you want me to visit? Just leave your comments, like, subscribe. Bye. See you next Friday.